Good morning. Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Oh, what a day. Let some people come in and then I'll get started. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. Oh, I walked 2-point-something miles this morning, so I added more to my walk. Anyway, please do not be judging each other in the comments or in the chat. This is a safe space for us recovering alcoholics and those who are still suffering to come and be able to listen to me reading and talking about how it has helped me. But yeah, just be kind in the comments is all. And if you're new, welcome. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I always put in the description what book we're reading, what page we're on, what story we're reading, and all of those good things in the description. Had to think of the word. Description. All right. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So we are back in the big book. Bill's story. Mine is the 4th edition. So if you have a different edition, it might be on a different page. Just so you know. We are Bill's story on page 10. And I'm going to start at I cared. Okay, I have cared to have it. I was shocked, but interested. Certainly, I was interested. I had to be, for I was hopeless. He talked for hours. Childhood memories rose before me. I could almost hear the sound of the preacher's voice as I sat on still Sunday. Way over there on the hillside, there was that proffered temperance pledge. I never signed. My grandfather's good-natured contempt of some church folks and their doings, his insistence that the spheres really had their music, but his denial of the preacher's right to tell him how he must listen, his fearless as he spoke of these things just before he died. These recollections welled up from the past. They made me swallow hard. That wartime day in old Winchester Cathedral came back again. I had always believed in a power greater than myself. I had often pondered these things. Just a second. I had always believed in a power greater than myself. I had often pondered these things. I was not an atheist, for few people really are. For that means blind faith in the strange proposition that this universe originated in a cipher and aimlessly rushes nowhere. My intellectual heroes, the chemists, the astronomers, even the evolutionists, suggested vast laws and forces at work. Despite contrary indications, I had little doubt that I might propose and rhythm underlay all. How could there be so much of precise and immutable law of the universe who knew neither time nor limitations, but that was as far as I had gone. With ministers and the world religious, I parted right there when they talked of a God personal to me, who was love, superhuman strength, and direction. I became irritated and my mind snapped shut against such a theory. To Christ I conceded the certainty of a great man, not too closely followed by those who claimed him, adopted those parts which seemed convenient and not too difficult. The rest is disregarded. The wars which had been fought, the burnings and the chicanery that religious dispute had facilitated made me sick. I honestly doubted whether, on balance, the religions of mankind had done any good. Judging from what I had seen in Europe and since, the power of God in human affairs was negligible. The brotherhood of man and jest. If there was a devil, he seemed the boss universal, and he certainly had me. But my friend sat before me and he made the point blank declaration that God had done for me or for him what he could not do for myself. His human will had failed. Doctors had pronounced him incurable. Society was about to lock him up. Like myself, he had admitted complete defeat. Then he had in effect been raised from the dead, suddenly taken from the scrap heap to a level of life better than the best he had ever known. Had this power originated in him? Obviously, it had not. There had been no more power in him than there was in me at that minute, and there was none of it. That floored me. It began to look as though religious people were right after all. Here was something at work in a human heart which had done the impossible. Any ideas about miracles were drastically revised right then. Never mind the musty past. Here sat a miracle directly across the kitchen table. He shouted, "Great tidings!" I saw that my friend was much more than inwardly recognized. He was on a different footing. His roots grasped a new soil. Despite the living example of my friend, there remained in me the vestings of my old prejudice. The word God still aroused a certain antipathy when the thought was expressed that there might be a God personal to me. This feeling was intensified. I didn't like the idea. I could go for such conceptions and as creative intelligence, universal minds or spirits of nature, but I resisted the thought of a Caesar of the heavens, however loving his sway might be. I have since talked with scores of men who felt the same way. My friend suggested what then seemed a novel idea. He said, "Why don't you choose your own conception of God?" That statement hit me hard. It melted the icy intellectual mountain in whose shadow I had lived and shivered many years. I stood in the sunlight at last. I was only a matter of being willing to believe in a power greater than myself. Nothing more was required of me to make my beginnings. I saw that growth could start from that point. Upon a foundation of complete willingness, I might build what I saw in my friend. Would I have it? Of course I would. Thus was I convinced that God is concerned with us humans when we want Him enough. At long last, I saw, I felt, I believed. Scales of pride and prejudice fell from my eyes as a new world came into view. The real significance of my experience in the cathedral burst upon me. For a brief moment, I had needed and wanted God. There had been a humble, not human, humble willingness to have Him with me. And He came. But soon the sense of His presence had been blotted out by worldly clamors, mostly those within myself, and so it had been ever since. How blind I had been. At the hospital, I was separated from alcohol for the last time. Treatment seemed wise, for I showed signs of delirium tremens. There I humbly offered myself to God as I then understood Him, to do with me as He would. I placed myself unreservedly under His care and direction. I admitted for the first time that of myself I was nothing, that without Him I was lost. I ruthlessly faced my sins and became willing to have my new found friend take them away, root and branch. I have not had a drink since. My schoolmate visited me and I fully acquainted him with my problems and deficiencies. We made a list of people I had hurt or toward whom I felt resentment. I expressed my entire willingness to approach these individuals, admitting my wrong. Never was I to be critical of them. I was to right all such matters to the utmost of my ability. I was to test my thinking by the new God consequences or consciousness within. Common sense would thus become uncommon sense. I was to sit quietly, then in doubt, asking only for direction and strength to meet my problems as He would have me. Never was I to pray for myself except as my request bore on my usefulness to others. Then only might I expect to receive, but that would be in great measure. My friend promised When these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator, that I could have the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems. Belief in the power of God, plus enough willingness, honesty, and humility to establish and maintain the new order of things, were the essential requirements. Simple but not easy, a price had to be paid. It meant destruction of self centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of light, who preside over us all. These were revolutionary and drastic proposals, but the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. There was a sense of victory, followed by such a peace and serenity as I had never known. There was utter confidence. I felt lifted up as though the great clean wind of a mountaintop blew through and through. God comes to most men gradually, but his impact on me was sudden and profound. For a moment, I was alarmed and called my friend, the doctor, to ask if I were still sane. He listened in wonder as I talked. Finally, he shook his head, saying, "Something has happened to you. I don't understand, but you had better hang on to it. Anything is better than the way you were." The good doctor now sees my men who have such experiences. He knows that they are real. While late in the hospital, the thought came that there were thousands of hopeless alcoholics who might be glad to have what had been so freely given me. Perhaps I could help some of them. They in turn might work with others. My friends had empathized the absolute necessity of the demonstrating these principles in all my affairs. Particularly was it imperative to work with others as he had worked with me. Faith without work was dead, he said, and how apparently true for the alcoholic. For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through a work of self-sacrifice for others, he could now not survive. Could not survive the certain trials and how low or trials and low spots ahead. I'm tongue-tied this morning. Okay, Lily. Now where I go? Oh man. If he did not work, he would surely drink again, and if he drank, he would surely die. Then faith would be dead indeed. With us, it is just that. Somebody at the door. I don't know. My wife and I abandon ourselves with enthusiasm to the idea of helping other alcoholics to a solution of their own problems. It was fortunate for my old business associates remained skeptical for a year and a half, during which I found little work. Just a second. I had a question if I was actually hearing somebody at the door.
I didn't hear the first knock.
It was my brother-in-law. Bring it back to Jack. Okay. Not too well at the time and was plagued by waves of self-pity and resentment. This sometimes nearly drove me back to drink. I don't know why I started that video. Stop. Let my sponsor know I'm live. I forgot. Send it. Okay. There we go. I was not too well at the time and was plagued by waves of self-pity and resentment that sometimes nearly drove me back to drink. But I soon found that when all other measures failed, work with another alcoholic would save the day. Many times I have gone to my old hospital in despair. On talking to a man there, I would be amazingly lifted up and set on my feet. It is a design for living that works in rough going. We commenced to make many fast friends, and a fellowship has grown among us, of which it is wonderful thing, which is a wonderful thing to feel a part. The joy of living we really have, even under pressure and difficulty. I have seen hundreds of families set their feet in the path of really go somewhere. Have seen the most impossible domestic situations rightened, feuds and bitterness of all sorts wiped out. I've seen men come out of asylums and resume a vital place in the lives of their families and communities. Business and professional men have regained their standings. There is scarcely any form of trouble and misery which has not been overcome among us. In one western city of its in various, there are 1,000 of us and our families. We meet frequently so that newcomers may find the fellowship they seek. At these informal gatherings, one may often see from 50 to 200 persons. We are growing in numbers and power. An alcoholic is in his cups is an unleavened creature. Our struggles with them are variously strenuous, comic, and tragic. One poor chap committed of himself in my home. He could not or would not see our way of life. There is, however, a vast amount of fun about it all. I suppose some would be shocked at our seeming worldliness and levity. But just underneath there is deadly earnestness, Faith has to work 24 hours a day and through us or we perish. Most of us feel we need look no further for utopia. We have it with us right here and now. Each day, my friend's simple talk in our kitchen multiplies itself in a widening circle of peace on earth and goodwill to men. Bill W., co-founded of AA, passed January 24th, 1971. And Bill's story can touch a lot of people because it's the beginning of AA and figuring out the higher power and all the things that we look for in finding sobriety and possibly staying that way. For me, when I first started AA, I didn't want nothing to do with it. I just went to meet a friend. And that ended up in me actually finding my sponsor, making new friends that are sober, that understand my battle on a daily basis. And they know that they are like me. It's 24 hours. I can't go and say that I'm going to be sober tomorrow, but I have today. And that is because if you get too far of yourself in your sobriety and you're thinking that, oh, I've got this, without working all of these components in being sober, there's that chance you can go back out and drink. I did that before I found AA, so I think maybe by me working my steps every day helps me to stay sober, and talking about my sobriety and talking about my alcoholic days and talking to people about it helps me to remember why I'm on this sobriety train and staying there is because I want to reach out and help those other people that really do truly need it. And you never know when somebody might need to hear just exactly what you're saying. And I have found that by me saying that I'm a recovering alcoholic is a very game changer for some people. Some people will listen to you and understand what you're saying, and some people will just walk away. And I have friends and family members that struggle with it, whatever, that they're struggling with, alcohol or whatever, that they want to get sober, but they just don't know how or the right way. And I can't make them do it. All I can do is give them suggestions and tell them exactly what I'm telling everybody here is you have to want it for you, and you can't do it on somebody else's terms. It has to be on your own terms. And I'm glad that I got it the first time I started AA. And so far it's helped me to stay sober on how many days now? Let's see how many days I'm sober. So I've been sober for 3,979 days. That's 10 years, 10 months, and 22 days. Yes, my sobriety date is next month. And I have to tell you, right? November 15th is my sobriety day. And every day has been worth it. I have to tell you, it's not always a great day. I still have those days where I cry, I get mad, I get in arguments. I'm still a human. I still have those feelings, and it's better for me anyways, it's better for me to deal with those as it comes sober, because I can better control myself than to just keep it going. And I extract myself from that situation without a problem. I'm out of there, and it doesn't matter who it is. If my husband and I get into a major argument, I will walk out and I'll go for a walk, because I don't want to argue that. It's not worth it. And I just find it better to live it sober. And I really, truly love being able to tell people about it and say it through the word on the rooftops and just share my story with everybody. Hey, Tony. Anyways, those of you that don't know, Tony is my sponsor. She's been my sponsor since my first day in AA. She has helped me so much with staying sober and understanding why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and how to, cope with those things. I know she's there, that I can, it's all right, I understand why I feel the way I feel, and she listens and she gets it, and she doesn't judge me for it. And that's what AA is they don't judge you for your traumas that you've been through the things that you did while you were drinking. They don't judge you through that, on all of that stuff. And that's the best thing about AA, is that they work that way. And, the day I walked into AA, I didn't know what to expect. But I'm glad I did. And I'm glad that I'm still sober. And I'm glad that I can be here and share with everybody what works for me, what could work for you. My sponsor's sobriety birthday is this month. Happy birthday, because I'm probably going to forget it. But yeah. So Bill's story is over. And next we are there is a solution. Because there is a solution. I wasn't like Bill and ended up in the hospital when I got sober. I didn't go to an asylum, but it was at that point where my husband was about to put me there, and I'm glad he didn't. But I have today. I have today. Keep your family and your friends in your prayers who are suffering, and pray that they find what we found in getting sober and staying sober with the program that works. Like I said, you have to want it for that reason, and that reason's you. And you can't control anything that's outside of yourself. And things happen for a reason. And I just hope everybody has a wonderful week. We have been working on our home, getting it cleaned up, and anyways, I'm going to read the daily reflection, let you guys go about your day. I'll be live again on Thursday at 7 p.m. instead of 6. I think 7 p.m. works better for everybody because it's late for some and early enough for some others. So it will be at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, daily monitoring. Continue to take personal inventory. Step 12. The spiritual axiom referred to in the 10th step. Every time we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong with us. Also, tell me that there are no exceptions to it. No matter how unreasonable others may seem, I'm responsible for not reacting negatively. Regardless of what is happening around me, I will always have the prerogative and the responsibility of choosing what happens within me. I am the creator of my own reality. What I take for daily inventory, I know that I must stop judging others. If I judge others, I am probably judging myself. Whoever is upsetting me most is my best teacher. I have much to learn from him or her, and in my heart, I should thank that person. I thank that person. And with that, I'm going to say the Serenity Prayer, and hope you guys all have a wonderful day and rest of the week. And remember, stay sober. And if you are struggling with addiction, please know that there's help. There's numbers you can call. But yeah, you're not alone in the struggle. There's a lot of us that struggle with it, and a lot of us are there to help. So I love you guys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys. Be safe out there.